All right, welcome to another kitchen talk with Mark at Alice Defense. Welcome, friends, followers, clients, everybody that is interested in getting a little bit of knowledge today. Today, just for a quick 5-minute segment, I just wanted to talk about drawing from the holster. Now, I know that we already are doing a lot of dry fire work back at home. That's something that I'm sure that my clients have heard from me plenty of times to encourage as much as we can that dry fire work when you're back at home. And as part of that, drawing from the holster is a big thing that we can be doing back at home. And that's something that may have gotten overshadowed for the past for some time now. And the fact is that a lot of people think that there's no way that they can draw from the holster if they can't do it in a live fire scenario. And unfortunately, there's just not very many ranges that allow for that. So that's why what we're going to do is do a little bit of dry fire practice, drawing from the holster, and then I'm going to show you how I'm going to stitch it together with live fire, either when I'm coaching my clients to be watching this, or when you're on the range by yourself too. And it's important to be conscious of the fact that we are trying to stitch this type of training together, just because of the resources and the training style that is available to us today. So starting off, the first thing obviously is going to be safety. So today I am carrying, as usual, my M&B shield, and always make sure that your firearms are unloaded and cleared before you start any of this type of dry fire training. That's one of the biggest risks of dry fire training. And just as long as you're being a safe and responsible gun owner, you should be able to make your own checks. And if you're training with somebody else, always double check with your training buddy too. Secondly, your safe zone. So in my case, just know that my safe area is this direction. And in your own home too, make sure that you identify one of those outside walls or one of those walls that is just not connected with another person. If you're living in an apartment, that's definitely something to take into consideration when you're doing this type of dry fire training. And always just make sure that you're just pointing your firearm towards an outside wall, just to build that good habit of being conscientious of what's in your surroundings. So, getting started. So what we want to do is also make this realistic. So, as you can see, I'm actually just wearing a regular t-shirt that I would be as summer is coming up. And what I mean by make it realistic is make it realistic to the season, or make it realistic to the situation that you're getting ready for. Seasonally speaking, especially here in Minnesota, we have almost the extremes of nearly every season. And that being said, it's also good to make sure that you're training with your winter gear, with any types of heavy jackets, or even a overcoat too. Because again, training in a sterile environment and just only concentrating on the small motions and not really taking into consideration the fact that when you are carrying, especially in Minnesota, more likely than not, we're going to be wearing more than one layer. For the purpose of today's video, I've decided that it's getting much warmer out, and I'm getting ready to carry a little bit with less layers on. So again, that's why for this situation, I would say this is probably a good reason to be training with a regular t-shirt on. And as we want to get into drawing now, there's a couple of ways to go about it, and really what I try to teach you guys, and what I try to force myself to go through too, is continuing feeding yourself that mantra of slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And what that means, especially in drawing from the holster and practicing this, is breaking it down step by step. So for us, we're going to be breaking it down into 4 steps, and it's going to be just starting with your sweep, grip, draw, and acquire sights, and then fire. Obviously, we're not going to be firing live ammunition back at home, but if you have those snap caps in, by all means, incorporate that trigger pull. So again, when we're doing this back at home, and as we get started, we just want to do it slow and steady first, and even call out the steps that we're taking as we're going through it. So, ready, and start. Sweep, grip, draw, sight, and trigger. And always make sure, again, that we're still handling these firearms as if they were loaded. That's one very important thing, I think, to keep in mind as we're doing this type of dry fire training back at home. I know you can get a little bit too comfortable back at home, maybe in your home environment, and not think too much about safety or anything else. And again, still handle those firearms as if they were real. And we'll go through this a couple more times. And it's always good to do it with a partner, or if you're by yourself, that's fine too. But still, give yourself some type of prompt. It can either be a random prompt if you're with a partner, or just give yourself any internal prompt. So ready, and go. Sweep, grip, draw, aim in, and fire. And again, it's just simple as that. And when we are on the range, what we're trying to replicate here is, yes, we know that the sweep, grip, and draw, and right about here is where my sport hand is coming in. And from here to here, that's a motion that we can do on the range. So that's why it's always a good practice to get live fire practice in, is to start from the low ready and acquire your target and bring your firearm back down. Because again, that's the best way that we can stitch this together between the dry fire, drawing for the holster, and getting on the target to live fire, as in the only motion we can really do on a range is from that low ready to your getting your sight picture. So hopefully that was helpful to everybody involved, and especially one last tip: if you do have a safety lever on your firearm, make sure you're incorporating taking that safety lever off and putting it on fire as you're drawing too, because especially with my shield, for example, sweet grip, right about here is where I'm taking my safety lever off. You really don't want to be taking the safety lever off when you're drawing, when you're right about here. I don't know if you can see, but as I'm pulling up, if I pull my safety off here, that's not a very safe place for the gun to be pointing. Again, you want to make sure that if you have a safety on your firearm, you're not taking that safety off until it's pointing towards the threat or towards your target. So, final tip there for your safety levers for those of you that do carry with a safety. And again, thank you everybody for tuning in today. Remember, Atlas Defense, confidence through competence. Thanks, guys. Take care.